Google takes us live. It's the AsyncVoter meeting. It's just Sam and Paula again this week. Yeah, so last week we took our very rough and ready connected up thingamywhatsit and we deployed it, and we saw it not appearing to work, and we were on the cusp of adding some console logging statements. And I think we'd set it up so you could SSH into and like do a deploy and see the logs and all this, that, and the other. So I think we had pushed, we pushed a branch. We've got, that's your, yeah, pull request. That's on this branch. So would I wonder if the way to go in the short term is just for me to throw in some console logging and just get this up, like we've got it all working on your machine. If I just sort of start off and then we can switch over to your machine, I don't know.
I think let's get started on your side and
yeah,
let's
do that. Okay, and so we're in the Slack. Command git pull or git fetch origin. Let's check I've got the latest git pull origin 57, and yeah, so I'm up to date here. We'll maximize that and create another window and get the logs up. So I should, look at where I'm getting a shortcut for this, but if I do history rep SSH, I should see there I've got, there we go. So we've actually got the 238 there is the logs for the staging system. So that is the logs for the staging system. And so we've now got a few places where that's in, is it in here, or there's a separate, you created a separate file for, or no, it's just a separate module at the bottom, is it?
Yeah. Here at the top, I've defined the two functions at the top.
We've got, it's like add store. They're at the top. Here we go. Yeah, here. So we've got like.
So the first thing we want to check is, yeah, okay.
I was just going to throw in console logs for the errors that we're currently failing silently on. Yeah, but we could also just do some general, like, you know, we've got to this point, got to that point, couldn't we?
Yeah, well, we know that it's failing to add the new story to the MongoDB database.
Yeah, so we're not seeing it appear. So yeah, and I think what we did last time was we
well, we should put. Are you still there? You video froze. Oops. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Waiting for people. Hi, Sam.
Hey.
Oh, we're live again. Is it the same call as before?
Yeah, it is.
So there's going to be like a big gap of silence.
There is. But you know, so we're in that very long tail. I don't know if anybody watches these things. Now, so I had thought that maybe my internet going out. It's back stable now. We'll see how long that lasts. That's annoying. It's giving me
set base URL of undefined. Okay, that makes no sense. So the object of the client API client is not being created. So the require may be failing.
I mean, I guess the interesting thing is did you run the tests yourself after the changes you made? Conceivably, the changes, like, I guess what I should probably do just quickly here is we can, like, I just made some changes here. I could just stash those changes and make sure that I didn't just introduce the problem myself by the small, I've added those like 4 console logging statements, and maybe I deleted a curly bracket, but no, okay. So actually it seems like the tests now don't run. So that's a sort of a separate issue that we might have to address.
No, sorry, which tests are we running here?
Well, I'm running npm test, and we have like the test.js file.
No, from what project? From the Slack command?
Yes.
Oh, the Slack command test. Okay, but that error that we just saw. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. The test did work last week, didn't they?
I don't know. Did they?
Yeah, I think we could watch last week's video. But
right, they ran when you ran the tests locally on your machine, and they passed.
No, actually, I'm not sure I did.
Yeah, I remember we definitely. Well, you could while I'm just doing. I mean, I think we didn't get an error, like even having pushed it out, it sort of ran. So we can still, in order to move towards like understanding what's going on there, we can still I can still make this commit, and I can push. Do I not have a staging server? Oh, what's my Git? I can push this to somewhere. Yeah, we have a 0 staging Git push.
But can we look at the code a little? Just 1 second.
Well, you could bring up the code on your machine.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But what I would, even before looking at the code, I mean, my inclination would be to, on your machine, just run the tests and see if, you know, see if you've got, you know, passing tests on your machine, just as a checkpoint. I mean, it's interesting. I think that reflects partly our 2 different. Oh, I didn't have done that wrong. Maybe it didn't need to be. Oh, it was worked. Our 2 different approaches, in that I tend to be like, I look at the code to understand it. Like I want to use the Git to identify exactly what causes the problem, and then look at the code. Whereas I guess you haven't really worked with versioning. You've worked with other versioning systems besides Git.
Yeah, right? No, I haven't. I've worked with SVN mainly, and then I have this. Recently I installed this Tortoise HG workbench thing, and I've been creating repositories and just sharing my own code across systems that way. And I think that's based on Git, but I don't use all these branching and things. Obviously my approach does not include using Git at all, actually. So go ahead.
It's interesting. I mean, to satisfy the place where we set the base URL is for this AV API client, and I guess that would mean that in the context of the tests, somehow, like however the tests are working with Mocha and so on.
Do we receive that as a parameter? Did we make that 1 line change? Because maybe I didn't. That could be. Now.
Yeah, but I would say, like, so we at the moment we know we've got 2 problems. So one is that the tests don't pass. So that's, but well, and you could run the tests. I mean, you could share your screen and run the tests locally on your machine.
Yes, they get the same.
And see if you get the same thing. In the meantime, like I can get the bot that I've now pushed and work out I can trail the logs. Oh, why does it do that? Every time I try and drag Slack from, I've got 3 monitors from, go on with you. Can you, there we go. That's better. Okay, let's go to the AsyncVoter bot test where
my test failed here with the same.
Same one. Oh, I suspect that, and I suspect that that's going to be a relatively simple fix of like a stub. Like
pass the object at all. I must do a require, or let's take a look. Starting index.js.
So yeah, so the voter is.
Sorry, we do new require AsyncVoter API client with nothing. Is that correct?
Sorry, what are we talking about?
No, I'm looking at my screen here.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And we do const API client, and then we do require AsyncVoter API client and call a new on it with no parameters. And then we call set base URL on it. So either this set base URL is spelled wrong or.
Well, no, I would say that it's. I think it's the problem is more that the tests can't cope with this situation, right? Like but do you know what I mean? Like my intuition is that. So I think previously, like what you added like lines 6, 7, 8, and 9 in order for our system to work with the client, and prior to that point, the tests worked. I guess it's conceivable that set base URL is, but it's complaining about the AV API client is undefined. So
so it's returning the new, probably the require either is not returning a constructor or it's returning null.
But if that AVI client, I mean, I assume you've just copied the way that Brent used it in his, setup.
I assume so.
Just have a look here. So there's got no errors, and so it's what I would speculate that the tests are just not supplying it correctly, or there's some other kind of weird thing going on there. What's it? He's got it's the async. So even having added those console errors, I'm still not getting anything. The voter, so the API client will have some tests. We've got there more, well, or even just like more test.js there. So the way that Brent has done it here, he does like var client, new AsyncVoter API client, and he's got like AsyncVoter client, require client.
Okay, so if you replace the AsyncVoter API client with require client, you now seems like you may end up with what?
Yeah.
Maybe it's calling the function before calling new. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that the use of the new statement makes me. Yeah, I wonder about whether that's.
Maybe it needs to be broken in two for kind of precedent issues or something.
Maybe.
We can try breaking it in two. That's
right. But I mean, I guess we've got the thing though is that like this I mean, like we've got the code, I think, deployed to the staging server with the console log error working, and it's just it seems to be working. I mean, it feels to me like either like we totally don't have the code under test that we think we have under test. So I'm very tempted, like even before debugging this issue, which maybe ultimately we will have to solve to get it all working. It seems like if this is not working, it's not preventing the rest of the system from operating as it should, which is kind of surprising. So I'm kind of I'm tempted.
I think that line 6, it may be just impossible to do it in one line, and should be turned into 2. Maybe we could. I know there are different approaches, but we have a problem with line 6, that is setting API client null, and it may just be that if you do new require and then brackets, it tries to do it. It doesn't work. And if you do require and then do new or what I'm not sure. Can you see any bracketing or precedence?
Well, I'm kind of not focusing on that at the moment, in that I kind of want to check that we've got. Oh, I see actually here I haven't added error handling to all the places in the code where we might have errors.
Yeah.
But I'm also I'm putting in some, like, specifically just like, we've got this point at which we create the story, and I've put in like a console log to say, right now we're trying to add story to MongoDB, which is what we've got at the moment. Add story to MongoDB is up here, and I want to like see, do we even get into, this is now the AV API client creating story, like so. So this is now we git commit -am, adding more logging, and then I'm going to try and push that out. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if it didn't actually deploy. I mean, I guess what? Yeah, that's interesting.
But okay, go on. Last week I thought we did try running this. This is now crashing with set based on null.
Yeah, I don't know if we I don't recall if last week we ran the tests.
No, not the tests. I'm saying, shouldn't the app crash when you?
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, I thought we had the app being properly deployed last week, but maybe we didn't. That's here why I'm kind of I want to see, like, as a sanity check, something that I've, like, one of these console log statements appear in the log to say, yes, that we have definitely deployed this. Okay. Now what's this here? In fact,
okay.
And so now we're getting, when I think that's the proper deploy. So maybe I think last week we didn't deploy it.
Yes, I guess that,
And so now we
kept working and we weren't seeing that. So maybe if we fix this API client bug, then we still have a chance it could work.
Yeah, it certainly seems like that's something that we definitely have to fix.
Just try to split the line 6 into 2 lines and check that.
Yeah. That's perfect. That's certainly a reasonable thing to do. So the way we're not pulling in there, it's in the index. So
it's index, yes, index.
There. And I was just looking at, so the way that I'm just going to copy those over. The way that Brent uses it when he manually tested it was this stuff. There was, he required that to the like there, and then so we could copy his precise syntax.
Or just call his client, call it API client, so we don't need to change.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, and
but the require, what was it? Require AsyncVoter API client.
Okay. And we've got that. Now, I guess the interesting question is, how is the async API client made available? Have we specified that in this package we have? Okay, yeah. All right. So there, and then
you want to remove 13 and a rename client, yes.
And do this. Okay.
Also, line 7 needs a const var or something.
Okay. So we could then try to run the tests. This is my deploy window. Let's do the tests here. And that's failing with still AV API client is not a, I guess I'm just tempted to change that for consistent camel case. So set base URL, which is, no, I was going to look in, oh, I don't want to be in, it's wrong file, go away.
Base URL, capital B, capital U.
Let's open yeah, so the client is a function there with set base URL.
Capital B, capital U. Let's, okay, copy it.
Yeah, copy it over. Yeah, that looks correct. Now the interesting, let's have a look. So in here, how does, we've got the story, do we, anywhere else, do we refer to set base URL outside of, so we've got the function itself, there's the README explaining how to do it. We've got, so here's, we've got in these individual tests, and in fact, even in here, okay. So we have an example here of, that was Brent's test to do that. I guess I could even jump in here and run, I think it was just like node test.js. Like this is, right. So that hasn't thrown an error. So in this context, we were able to call client set base URL, and we were okay. So that from there, from those two, and then we called it, and that worked, I guess.
So maybe let's go back to the async, to the Slack command. Maybe we can print just a console log, the return of the required, to see whether that returns an object. And
yeah, or even
really,
can we run like in this? Can we run and do it on the line here? I'm just going to do node and then do require like this.
Can you do?
I think we can. And we could even just do that, and then we could look at
Undefined.
So undefined there. That's just, I think we've got the function there. So then we could do this. I think when that says undefined, it's just because it's like it's parsing the assignment, and so now, but so what's happened here? Yeah, we in fact we have in this context the AV API client and set base URL. We could do this. Set base URL is not a function. So it's like it's got set base URL. I guess is that there's there is the base URL, and it's complaining that it's not a. This is a different kind of error. It's, where's that client gone? We've got here set base URL. It looks like a function. That's interesting. Huh. I mean, the funny thing is, I kind of feel like, do we need the new statement? I mean, in this context, I mean, the other thing is like, so I've got this code locally here. I've got like implement client tests. I don't know, git checkout master, git pull origin master. Like the code that our async voter is going to be working against is going to be whatever is on the, so here, like it's getting async voter API client from git from here, right?
Okay, which
presumably it's getting from the master branch. like this. So we should just check. There's the node module that gets pulled in, and then that's the client. And then we can see again, yeah, it's got the base URL. There's a weird spacing issue there. I wouldn't have thought that would affect it. We can see in principle in here, this is the client, and this is precisely the code here. But look, this doesn't have set base URL. So that makes it look like we've got this async API client that's maybe an old client. Have we got a lock file here? It looks like maybe we are locked to an old version of the AsyncVoter client. Here, yeah, in fact, we can see the async API client is locked to a particular commit.
Oh, why? How come that? That's very good of you to know this. So this package lock does this to you. It basically
it basically means you kind of install. I mean, it's following the instructions in the package JSON, and so like here we are saying like for all of these other ones, be this version or bigger. You know all this stuff. Here, like I think maybe what we need is we need to say be on the master, just be on the latest one.
Yeah.
And then if we run npm, I don't think, do I have to have install?
Yeah, install.
I think I do. Yeah. Then maybe we can force it onto the master branch. We have to go and have a look now in the lock. No, it's still there's. I mean, I guess I think my options are.
Maybe you can remove just this one entry from the log file.
I could, although it's as an auto-generated file. What I think at least one, probably what I want to do is npm. I think we can do upgrade or update async voter. Is it client API like this? And then this will maybe force it onto a different commit. It doesn't look like it. I mean, the simple thing that I can, maybe I go delete the whole log file, but async voter API client, you're still here, you haven't changed. I'm tempted to look up for npm, this is like package .json git and like specify branch or commit. This depend on a branch or tag using a git URL. There we are, and then tag. But does it have to be? It can't be a branch rather than a. Okay. From the npm docs. .git, and then no, and we should be able to say the branch thing. But I guess having changed it there does not override the package lock.
So maybe remove a lock from package lock.
Yeah, I mean I'm thinking your suggestion is a good one. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna put it back to say that it's the master.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go here and
remove one.
Yeah, hopefully.
I don't see why this shouldn't just work.
Yeah. I think it's probably all right.
And npm install.
Yeah, I would hope there that would re-add that to the lock, but it does not seem to have done. And in fact, here this does not seem to have changed. I mean, what I'm tempted to do here is delete that folder in the modules.
Yeah.
Because that's old code that we just don't want.
And npm install should give you some feedback.
Now, at least npm install should force something back into there.
But it doesn't give you output. Shouldn't npm install tell you about what's...
It should. And in fact, I've deleted it from there, but it doesn't.
It didn't.
No. I mean, I guess now we've got the issue in here in the package lock is that if I delete this then it kind of says it's not installed anymore. I mean, I'm going to change the thing here to say master, like that, and then I'm going to do this, and I don't know. There was another thing in the here. It was saying .git ref. Yeah, maybe these are only tags. The commit ish can be any tag. GitHub URLs. I mean, if I want to be, I guess we've got develop branch. Maybe the master branch does not even have it. That might be a, yeah, it is. It is. Okay. So in fact, it needs to be the develop branch. At the moment, I guess I go through and do that in all the places. Can I remove? We've got dependencies, we've got dev dependencies. If I remove that and npm install.
Sorry, was it both in dependencies and dev dependencies?
No, it's only in one. I was just like, it's only in the dependencies at the moment.
Yeah.
And I guess we've got dev, which it should be. It's a solid dependency. And then, am I doing? Is it npm install? Is that the wrong one?
No, npm install is when your node module folder is empty and it populates it. So I'm sure it is.
Yeah, and so like the way we are here is, so I've deleted it from the node modules,
and it's not back.
It's not putting it back in there, even having kind of like removed it from the dependencies and re-added it to the dependencies. We've got the lock file there. I've tried removing it from there, and I mean what else? I mean, I could try npm uninstall the thing. And again, like you say, like when it actually installs, it should show us
what it's installed.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like, I mean, I could delete the entire package log to force it to recreate it.
Yeah, you can do that. You can even delete the entire node modules folder and install it again.
I guess I'm going to try. I can reconstruct the package hyphen. Huh? Why can't I see that? Okay.
Oh, you're in.
I'm in the wrong. Oh gosh.
Okay, that explains all
that. Explains there. So hopefully here. Oh dear. Install. Now this might do something. Oh, ridiculous.
Okay, here we go. No. That should just install the AsyncVoter API.
Yeah. Okay, that looks better.
Now check the code. Let's see if we
so we can look in here and hopefully we see the AsyncVoter API and we see the client now has the set base URL and now the tests fail in a different place. We have AV API because I changed the name of the client to be consistent. Let's get rid of that. So at the moment we're locked to the development branch. We'll have to watch that in future. This has got some outstanding changes.
Oh, capital C, and then there's one more code.
There's one more. It's here, yeah.
And then if you want to make it consistent on the other side as well, we can go into.
Well, we'll just do that file and let's see if that gets us all of those. Okay, so we've got a good.
Sorry, did anything not pass or everything passed?
It looked like everything passed. but it looks like also some, I think, because I now have the console error logging in there, then there were some issues like we've got here, like client JS line 69. Where is client JS gone? Where's client? AsyncVoter. These are failures inside now the client. But so node rest client, that's coming from, we were on tick back call, incoming message, node rest client. That's all.
Client JS 69.
Yeah, I mean that's in the
AsyncVoter API client.
Yeah, I mean I was trying to find out like where it was. So like that's like here.
So that's in create vote.
But I was trying to see in the stack trace if there was some entry point that corresponded to our code, but it's like that looks like, I guess it's a callback, and so we don't. But anyway, yeah, I guess I'm tempted here to just see if we can. So this is like linking to develop version of this API clients.
Sorry.
Git push. I'll push this up into the branch so that you will have access to it as well. And I'll also do a deploy. It's also getting to the point where I should probably wrap up for the day. At least the internet is now stable again. Yeah, but so I guess there's a like a simple work plan going forward, which is to keep, polishing until all of the tests pass locally. I guess while we're looking at it together, and I can easily do these pushes, we might just see if it deploys and if it will, because like the it'd be great to fix all the local tests, but the acid test is, does it actually do something in the main system? But that might take a little while too. But do you want to pull the code out locally on your side and run the see if you get the same error that I was just getting?
So I'm sharing. Yes, I am sharing.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, so you could do that if you just do git pull origin and then the like type 57 and then tab, you'll get all the code that and then 57 and then tab, and hit return. You should have exactly the code that I have on my machine, assuming that I correctly committed it. So you could run the tests now, and hopefully they would pass, but you might see these other weird errors that I'm getting.
Test failed.
Oh yeah. You probably need to run npm install.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I've actually successfully deployed it, and I've seen our log statements in the logging system. So that's promising. And then now what did we do with here? We have
looking for one which you just created.
Yeah. What's the 115? Are these ordered? Because if I can search for 2018 -3. So yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I don't know if this is like limited for how many, like it's being cut off. I guess it's just like 125 there, 107. It looks like it's just returning everything. It's not paging it, or so it looks like it didn't come through.
However, the logs reported that it tried.
The logs report. So we don't have any error message. It said it got to add story to MongoDB and AV API client create story. Was where it got to. And I guess I could, I don't know, I thought I'd set the base URL to point to the test system, but let's go to the production system. Do we have anything in here? No. This is up at like 26. So
There's some more debugging to be done.
Yeah, but yeah, it looks like so you now getting the same failures on my side that I'm getting on my side, and let's come back to this. The point that it's getting to, yeah, so it's definitely getting to this here. So this is actually sends the story to the across the REST client. So but here, creates, yeah. So this one, if it gets to here,
the line 28 with console log error instead of, because we don't actually.
Yeah. So we don't know if we get to.
If we get an error inside 27.
Yeah. So we've got that there, and so here there's an error, and then, but basically, if it gets to basically having got to here just means that this function returned.
Yeah, return.
And it could be an error, or it could be that something. Yeah, okay. But if it wasn't an error, that would mean that it sent the out to the remote client, right? We've got if error, and then
create story, new story, is that object there?
Like here, like this is now what's come back from the, this is the key that should have come back from the remote person, like that. So yeah, let's push this up. Git commit -am. I mean, there's also, we could be training the logs on the receiving end of the the API. This is more logging. Git push origin 7 pushes it to you, and this would now deploy it. That will take a moment. We could also, if we go to the server, I guess I don't have to be in the, just drop back from there, cd async voter. We also have the API itself. And I guess it helps. I get this information. I can do SSH this logs. We think we're hitting the test system. There we go. So we're getting some errors on the test system, but those are as long ago as in January. So not relevant to us, maybe. We could also ask about what the production system logs look like. And there,
January.
Nothing. Yeah, okay. So here, now, in fact, so we've deployed there. We can do another. I guess I've also got, if I do the same thing, let's put some more stuff on the end of it. Okay. So now that's another vote. We want to look at the logs. There. Ah.
Oh, we got it. We got something.
Yeah, yeah. And so this looks very similar to the errors that we're getting locally in the. There was an issue from client JS 53. Again, something to do with data fields.
It crashed there. So why?
Line 18. But so I think the thing to do is maybe because it's running off whatever is in here. 53. Ah, there you go. There was an issue.
Okay, so else it means it failed to post.
It was something other than a 200. So we've got like really what this should include. Like we want to change this so that it includes the response information. So we know what we got back from the server.
You could even say create story failed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could give a much better error message there. I'm just thinking I want to check.
So it seems like the client API is not reaching the API server.
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, the other thing to do is to look at the config. I guess that we're not going to have any secret stuff in it there. No, it's not. It's just a config.
Is it AsyncVoter API or something?
Well, this is the staging one here where, so this is, we're trying, I wanted to check this. Like we've got AsyncVoter API path, and we've got the AsyncVoter API path. We've got in the, no, in this one, I'll come back. So, no, in the index, we're checking for AsyncVoter API path like this from the process env. That looks right to get this, and we just check.
What else? I mean, if the thing is not found, what's the default setting?
Hold. What are we talking about now? In
the right-hand side of the OR of line 11. Oh, you were just there.
Sorry, on here.
Yes, right-hand side of, yeah. Is that the same?
That's it's supposed to. It's basically it defaults to the production server.
Oh, that's production, and the one we want to set it to instead
is the test one. But I mean, you know, for our test at the moment, because it's not really live, you know, either one is fine. I mean, I guess it's possible that like this is somehow not being grabbed correctly, although everything else has worked for that. It looks superficially correct. I mean, what we would like to be doing is, you know, like
print it out.
At this point in the client, we would like this to be kind of saying, here is the full response, and this is the person that I was trying to post to. Like it would like default base URL. Maybe let's just do that. I should probably go, but on the client. So here, this is I'm on the master. They could check out develop, git pull origin develop. This is kind of, this here is sort of like an example of a completely useless error message. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, at least we found where. Well, we actually had the stack trace.
Yes. Yes. But so what we should like. So you as you were pointing out, this could say failed to create story. But what we would particularly like to also have is this base URL like that.
Maybe in small RL.
Ah, yeah. And then I was just thinking I would like to have, can you dump the response for us? Like that. And I mean, well, we'll see if there's a sort of a JSON. I kind of want to turn it into it's probably going to just come back with object. Is there a parsing operation? I guess I'll just
you can do JSON stringify on that.
No, right. Like that. So then we save that. That's create story. So the client here, there, I guess, with an npm test. I don't know if that's going to exercise the code, but they're still passing, so I haven't broken everything. Git -am improve error message. Git, really? What? Okay, now what I've stupidly done is I've edited that probably in the node modules of the stupidly there. Create story. I want that to be here. So let's actually do the test now with that code in. This works. Git push origin develop. So then we've got the weird thing, like, I mean, I think sensibly, since I accidentally just edited it, I should delete that one there, and I should then do I've got npm install here. So that should pull this in. Will it change it's pulling some things in, like git status. Interestingly, it doesn't change the lock file. I guess I'm fixing it to the develop branch now. Let's just look at what package lock JSON says about AsyncVoter now. AsyncVoter API client locked to develop. So anything we push to develop, we make sure it gets installed. Okay, that's nice. So now,
I guess you still have to do npm install to update, right?
Yeah, the other thing is I kind of have to like force like the problem is I think I almost have to have some commit, like now because it's tracking develop, unless I can force it to reinstall on the so here I would have to do something like git commit allow empty and do -m force reinstall of latest API client. Git push origin. That doesn't have to go there, but it needs to go here. And so that will then cause this process of reinstallation on the server, and it should run npm install on the server, and I hope, and install no modules. Yeah. And then when that's finished, we could get ready to run another test here. I mean, we could also, like now we've got that better error handling, we might also expect npm test here to give better error messages for our unit tests. This is still thinking about deploying it. Okay, there was an issue. Okay, so all the tests are still failing with the same poor error message.
Is that from the line we replaced, or maybe there are other places?
I think that there's multiple places where we have that very similar error message. So I guess that's deployed. We could do one more of these, test 2. We could go and have a look in our logs, where was I doing the logs? Was it here? It was logs, AsyncVoter staging. Okay. And for some reason, that hasn't changed.
Okay.
And I wonder if that's because the client here, we've got, yeah, for some, that's the master, develop. Yeah, so we've got this to improve the error message. It's on there, but maybe it just like hasn't kind of quite pulled, like what I would have hoped was that this deploy would pull in that new stuff, but maybe with that node modules develop, it can't. There's all sorts of little places where it could be going wrong. I think I have to wrap up for that. I think the the debug cycle there is too slow. I think sensibly the thing to do is to make sure that every one of these error messages is updated to something sensible.
This is in the actual API client project, right?
Yeah, and I think what I would be tempted to do is like update all of those, merge it into master. I mean,
you want to quickly create a branch and help me set up on my side so I can maybe spend a couple of hours this week adding some logs to the error messages in here so that next time we can push those and we have to
go on.
Yeah, we have to make sure that this client is reaching the API.
Yeah, totally.
Voter API, which seems to be the issue, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I was just I have this what's the word? Like, I hate feeling like I'm just on the edge of fixing, or like I want to know why it's not working, and I'm kind of like, Hulk needs to know, and so I can't. But having just described what it is to do, maybe it'd be better for like you say, to set it up on your side, but failed to get votes for story. So now all of these,
there was an error, or have been replaced.
Right, is now replaced. And so here I can run the tests for this client to check that I haven't completely broken it, and then git commits. So this is like fix all error messages, and then git push origin develop. And even what I want to do here is git checkout master, and I'm going to git rebase. Well, I'll get pull origin master, and I'm going to get can we rebase develop? Yes, we can. Git push origin master. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to force all of the things that are on develop just onto master. And what that means is that I can, for better or for worse, I come back in here in the package, I can make an explicit change. I can say, all right, don't use the develop branch, use the master branch. I mean, that's the kind of should be more stable anyway. So having done that, I should be able to do here npm install to try and force my local, I don't know if I have to delete the thing from the node modules, but to try and force the local Slack command. It looks like it's grabbed it. So there, so now npm test, unless there's like some other part that's got those funny error messages, should, be able to give us some error messages. There we go. But now converting such structure to, okay, So it looks like we can't use the JSON stringify because it's kind of circular.
Yeah, that happens.
So what's the best way to print out HTTP response in text form for nodes? It's one of those things where I want you to just dump some version of the Node.js response object.
Or you could search avoid circular in JSON stringify.
Oh, that's true.
I had done my little stringify variant that just printed something circular instead. Maybe there's even a command in JSON stringify that you can tell it.
Yeah, there we go, string avoids type error. There we go. Use stringify with a custom replacer. Oh, for the love of Christ.
Yeah, I had to do something like that.
But so I guess we need to define cache should not be used. Can I just define this function here and then pass it to all of my, but it needs a cache.
It needs a cache object. Basically, I think you're building a cache of all the objects as you stringify that have been encountered.
Yeah.
If you find an object as you traverse that is already in the cache, then it's circular.
I like this one.
Yeah.
So this is now.
That's it.
That's all we need, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Assuming that might work. Now, of course, we've got the issue that this here, so we've got the status, there's things, the tests are not exercising all of the error conditions, so we might have an annoying, so git commit -am avoids circular refs, git push origin master. Now, the funny thing is, it would be interesting to know here, like if we've pushed that up to master, will an npm install detect that change here? And the answer is maybe no.
Yeah, it's doing something.
It says thinking, isn't it? Yeah. It's just got stuck. No, yeah. Oh, it's actually doing some things. Okay. So then maybe the tests will it still gives me the same converting circular structure to JSON.
So is the plugin not working, or
the plugin is not working? I mean, that makes me want to remove that and just say, okay, well, if you're really going to be so hard, just then I'll have the status code.
Oh, status code. Okay, yeah.
Because like life is too short. So then we move down all of these, and this is why programming is addictive, because there's like, it feels like you're just about to get a payout, and then there is another 5 or 6 hours while your family screams at you. I mean, they're not screaming at me yet, so I'm kind of, oh my goodness. Okay, so then we come back to, there's also this thing about if you're developing things when you have multiple components that are there in their separate repos, you end up with the debug loop. So this is now, okay, avoid JSON stringify, push that to master. We come back to here, we say npm test. No, we can't do that yet. No, stop. We do npm install. But I think you've got everything on your side. I guess, you don't have the API client pulled out locally?
I'll paste something for you in case, but where's the chat? I found this. Enter chat.
Have you got the
This is the one I did, which is
you've got another thing for doing the circular things. Now interestingly, I now get no error messages.
okay. I get no error messages just like that from the start. If you see my screen.
Yeah, I'm looking at your screen. I'm getting a series of kind of nulls printed out now.
Yeah, that I get as well. Add story to MongoDB.
There's some comments are coming through. I mean, I guess I'm gonna deploy that. No, wait a sec. Why is that not? Git status, okay, git commit minus m update to API client master. Push that to production. I'm kind of surprised about those nulls being printed out when we were having the errors before. It should, these callback new errors, if the base URL is null, the status code is null, is that going to make the whole error message go null?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make this really one last test. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, if we're being really rigorous, I guess we would back out and we would go back to the API client and we would test all of the error pathways in it, that the errors print correctly, tell us the information, and then we would package it up, and then we would bring it over into our Slack command system, and we would hopefully
get a better idea of what's going wrong.
Absolutely. So where have I got the logs here? So now this is the one we got. Failed to create story on undefined 404. So the base URL is undefined according to
this.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, what I'm tempted to do here. So that's indicating that on the async voter, if we can now, do I do it this way? Is that how I'm now logged in. Here, I can go and I can connect to this. I can do enter docu, enter and I want to go async voter staging. So now this takes me into the async voter staging environment, and here, see, we've got this async voter API path there for the base URL that for some reason is not being, if I do node there and I do, we are it's supposed to be getting this.
Okay, let's see.
it's coming out okay. I guess let's take that and say, yeah, so that whole thing is apparently giving us back the string. I wonder if I can just do this in here and run this like that. And can I inspect the AV API client?
You can probably do JSON. Oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah, and then so the base URL there, it seems to be set. Okay.
Now try to create a story.
That's a good thing. I was just going to look first at this is the context here where we're talking about this base URL. In that context, it doesn't seem to be set. We've got the, look, well, that's weird.
Oh, there's a trailing slash.
Or not. Actually, it's not like a, I think that was just like a search that I'd done previously. But yeah, so this base URL, default base URL, that all looks like, yeah, it should be. So having created that client, yeah, if I want to, can I just like do something simple like get story, right? That would just list the stories from the client that were in there. So here, if I do get all stories, callback is not a function. I have to give it a, I have to like print out, I have to give it like a,
yeah, callback.
So I have to, what is it? It's going to be like and respond.
It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. If you're not.
I want it to print. I mean, or it would do this.
Oh yeah.
And I need it to do, like, I guess if we look in the test, like get all stories. They're not doing
error data response. Looks like it.
Yeah. In fact, the tests here are not even testing any of those things. Story name, what does he do there? Anyway, function error data response. Yeah, let's grab that. Let's do this. No, I'm missing a somehow.
Round brackets.
No, it's okay. I have to do it again. Let's do AV API client get all stories open brackets that close bracket. Cannot read status code of undefined. So I guess that's because there was an error. Oh gosh. So let's just do console log error. Yeah, get all stories failed on undefined. So
set base, but if you print base URL again, it's still set, right?
So we do that now. Interestingly, here, have I got that? Okay. I go back to set base URL. Oh, I don't have it. Oh gosh. And what? We've got our client. It's just, I don't know if we'll have access to it directly, but so that makes it seem like in this context, I think it's probably actually, this is probably my bad. I think maybe it's not undefined.
The callback, this inside the callback does not.
Yeah, it's referring to something else.
Yeah, you can do like
this needs to be URL, basically.
sorry, URL from, yeah.
Line 19.
Yeah, it'll give you /stories as well.
Yeah, it'll put the /stories on, but that will still tell us sort of what we need. Oh, painful. Okay. More haste.
If you pass your callback function with an arrow function, then this would have worked because that doesn't reset this, I believe.
Maybe so, yeah.
It's one of those minor differences in the arrow function.
Right. Interesting. So we've got this now. I've put that into URL. This is log URL on error. Origin master. If I want to actually deploy that, I will probably need to git, can I rebase master there? Yeah, and git push origin develop. Hello? Somebody talking to me? Okay. Okay.
You're being called.
I'm being pinged. Oh no, did I miss the no, they didn't. Oh, okay. No, that's my first warning. Okay. Right. So here there, I'm tempted to just change that back over to develop. Do npm install here. Okay.
So you changed it to develop in both places, both package and package lock.
Well, if I only have to change, if I only change it in package lock, but then if I run it npm install, it's going to update it. So then I can deploy that. I can also, it's like I'm running. Yeah, I'm going to have to go. Yeah, it feels like we're just on the. I guess it's felt like that for the last 40 minutes that we're just on the cusp of seeing why that's not working. I mean, it's getting a 404. It's from everything we were looking at in there.
404 is
look at this. Look at this. Too many slashes.
Will that give you an error?
Well, I think the browser can probably cope with it. No, even the browser can't cope with it. So, in fact, the fix
is to remove trailing slash from.
It is. Oh, and I can no, they're waiting for something. But so let's get out of here and out of there and out of there. And so async staging. So we need to just display the config, and there it needs to be this.
Without the.
Yeah, exactly. And then we do config set Control E, and then we put that in. But what we want also is this.
Yes.
And we put an equal sign on that, and that would cause it to redeploy. And then we could go over here and do this. And is it deployed? It's thinking about it. It's thinking about it. Come on. The family wants to eat. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Go on. There. Oh no, it's gonna wait for 10 seconds, apparently. Oh no, that's drink water. There we go. It's deployed. Yes. It's done. Okay, we load, we hit. We get test 4 comes through. We go to, I've forgotten where the logs were. The logs were on this one. Yes. And the logs say, yes, we have a key that comes back through.
So we look at our database now.
And now we go and look for the test to the stories. And we search in here, and we should see somewhere 03. No, we want a
18-3.
There's the yeah, it worked. Yay! Woo!
Okay, well, very well done, Sam. That was definitely tricky issues you looked at.
Yeah, well, and we've we've got the thing I've been talking about for ages. We've got the round trip.
Yes, now it's working. So it still needs, I guess, our error messages should generally be improved in all over the places, so that when people debug things, they get information more easily.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so I've got, I guess, the things to work on. Like, I did also these. I guess there should be tests in here that exercise these code pods. That's one thing. I guess but you can probably leave that as it is now. And I would say that the thing, if you wanted to do a chunk of stuff on here, the thing would be to work in here now, like maybe change the thing so this doesn't say Mongo. Oh, you can't see my screen. It doesn't say MongoDB anymore, and kind of yeah, start to, yeah, I don't know. I guess is that the, you know, we could start to be, yeah, exploring, yeah, like I guess maybe making those changes and to make that sensible, and running the tests here and making sure that actually you could look at adding tests that specifically check and stub out the anyway. You just let me know if there's anything you need.
Okay, I'm just going to say one last thing in terms of what I thought this could eventually become, this integrate usage of the external database, is if we do want to remove Redis from the whole picture, then that is something that can also be done. And yeah, it requires slight changes, obviously, to what we have. And the trick, I think, would be when you create one of these messages in Slack, one of these forms for voting, there is one field that we currently just set something like AsyncVoter voting, just a constant string. But instead, we can set it to the Mongo ID of the story, so that when people vote or people reveal the votes, and we get this message from the Slack server, it will reference that field which we have set. So it involves inverting the creation of the Slack template, which is done before now. Now I've done it so that everything is done as it did previously, and then only at the end, when it's done everything on the Redis, then only there it attempts to do the MongoDB writes. But if we go to step forward and want to eliminate Redis, then we'd actually create the MongoDB object first, get the ID, and use that to create a template in which that was
so that it was stored in Slack rather than Redis. Yeah, I understand.
But maybe we need more testing before we get rid of Redis.
Yeah, well, I think next we'll have to have a talk about the bigger picture of the projects, and yeah, good stuff. Anyway, great hanging out with you, Paolo. Let's maybe see you next week, maybe for the deep learning mob. Yeah.
Yes, and I'll watch the video in the meantime. How did it go?
Have a great weekend. Take care. Ciao for now.
Ciao.